Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, and music. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on Twitter I go as PD Beats. My guest this afternoon is a drummer of the band August Burns Red. We are with Matt Greiner. Matt, welcome to Popternative, man.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Petey.
No problem. Well, I understand that the band is currently on tour with Parkway Drive. Tell us a little bit about the tour.
Yeah, we're currently out with Parkway Drive, and it's been incredible. We're 4 shows into the tour. It's been 10 years since we toured with them. It's hard to believe. But the first time we went to Australia, they took us on tour. And 10 years ago, they were playing for 5,000 people in Brisbane, 3,000 people in Sydney. I mean, this is our first time on a continent. You're playing for 5 times as many people as you are on your home continent. It's pretty unbelievable. So here we are 10 years later touring with them, supporting them in the States. And they're great guys. I mean, they don't look like they play metal, and then they get on stage and they just shred and have a good time. And that's a good kind of band to be on tour with for 3 weeks to a month, because no one takes themselves too seriously. But at the same time, you get out on stage, and our first song is King of Sorrow, and I look up and the room's sold out, and there's not a free space in the room. So it's a very successful tour.
Absolutely. We were talking about it a little bit before, but around 2007, that was kind of around the time Messengers came out, full-length record of your band, which is known to be one of the most popular record of the metalcore genre of music. And my question is, that was a time where a lot of bands like August Burns Red, Parkway Drive, A Day to Remember, Asking Alexandria were really coming into their own and becoming very popular. What do you think it was about those bands that kind of made them successful at that time?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I was just talking to Ben Gordon, the drummer, about this. He only learned to play one ABR song ever, and it was Composure. And he said at that time, the drumming was really influential for Parkway. But I think Parkway being the first band to do what they're doing on the continent of Australia set them up for success, because they just got huge there. And it wasn't that they were writing songs that were on the radio or were a pop culture hit. They were just writing the fastest, heaviest stuff that they could play. And we were kind of doing the same thing. How fast can I play this blast beat? Okay, that's about it right there. Let's go a little bit faster, and that's where it's going to be recorded. So it was just intense, heavy, aggressive music that that took a lot of time to write. And I think because there was such intentionality about the music before the vocals even came into play, Parkway Drive, Between the Buried and Me, us, I'm trying to think of a couple other bands that are still around, Kill Switch.
Yeah.
Those bands who really cut their teeth in the early to mid 2000s, those are the bands still kicking today. And Parkway Drive's done a tremendous job, I think, of changing their sound to what they want to do. They don't want to play as fast as they can all the time anymore. They want to switch it up, as Ben would say, switch it up. Mm-hmm. And so it's going over really well. They have songs that are on the radio, and it's amazing to see them play these songs in the States and see people just hop up and down.
No, absolutely. And one thing which interesting about August Burns Red is not many people know this, but August Burns Red is a Grammy nominated band. You guys were nominated for a Grammy. What do you kind of think about the current, so you mentioned it a little bit with Parkway Drive and their new record, but what do you think about the current state of metal music, the metal that's kind of playing on the radio, because I find that genre has really changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah, you're right. Well, the Grammy nod was, we got nominated for Identity, and then we got nominated again for Invisible Enemy. And when we found out about that stuff, it was, of course, amazing. But we have a fan base that's so loyal to us that, just getting recognized on that level was neat, but it didn't tell us anything different about our band.
No, absolutely.
Besides the fact that we were just being recognized on a whole new level, a level that our parents and friends back home that don't really listen to the band, they appreciated probably more than we did, because they know what the Grammys are, and so of course we've been playing and touring for 15 years, but. Yeah, they have fans. They have fans out there. I don't know who listens to this kind of music, but they have fans. Now all of a sudden they're Grammy nominated, and I know what the Grammys are. They're on NBC at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what it told us is that, first of all, number one, metal music, the type of metal music we play, it's not on the radio, but has a significant fan base,
Mm-hmm.
Underground fan base, is being recognized on a more dramatic level like the Grammys. And that's really encouraging, because people are actually putting their ear to the ground and seeing that there's more to metal than just your Slipknots,
Mm-hmm.
or just your Megadeths. Nothing bad about those bands. Those are some big names on the radio,
for sure.
And there's a lot of other metal out there that's just a tier below that. So for the Grammy to recognize that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 5 years, you've seen change in metal, and it's I think metal has really had to the genre has really had to look at its identity to see, okay, what is this whole thing all about? For us, we haven't really veered from what we've always been doing, which is just writing the kind of music that we'd want to listen to. Same with the band Architects. They're still heavy, they're still intense, and they're incredible at what they do. But then you have other bands like Parkway Drive, who, if you listen to the record 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
it almost sounds like a different band altogether.
Yep.
But the cool thing is it's what they want to do, and I think that translates when they add in production and everything else behind them. This band still means it. When they get on stage, you can tell it's no fake,
sure.
fake show. And so I think fans can tell if it's a switch to try to cater to what's going to be popular, or if it's a transition that's like, no, we need to grow because we're getting older and this is our interest now. And metal's in a state of transformation, as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's progressive.
No, absolutely. So, I'm also a drummer, and I remember when I used to play some shows, you don't see much from the back, right? But sometimes, if there's, a heavy part or a breakdown or like a big build-up, I can sometimes picture in my mind what the crowd's going to look like and everything. Do you ever think about that type of stuff, or are you just kind of focused on the song and everything else is zoned out?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. We're both drummers, so we think a lot alike, I'm sure. I just try to hold the show together. I mean, if I mess up, I have 4 guys turning around looking at me with a face that you do not want to face, especially Jake's. And Dustin's. Yeah, Dustin and Jake have that face of just like, you suck. And that was proof. So I err on the side of safety. I am going to try to get through this part because it's really hard. And yeah, I wrote it 12 years ago, but why is it harder today than it's ever been? First of all, and then second of all, yeah, let's just get through this part. Okay, this part's pretty easy. I'm going to look up and look around. Oh, almost messed up. Got to focus on what I'm doing again.
But also for the people that don't know August Burns Red, I mean, the way you're like the drum parts are not just a regular beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like,
not just going.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I question why I write some of the stuff I do. I shouldn't have written that. That statement goes through my mind at least once a show.
Absolutely. But what a thing that's really important as well is August Burns Red, like I mentioned, like the first question about those bands, that's a band that you guys, a lot of bands, look up to you guys. You're a band that, a lot of bands of that scene, I remember, of the metalcore scene, that would be like, you'd walk into like a local show, it would be like half the crowd would have like August Burns Red shirts on. You know what I mean? I'm not even kidding you. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm sure you're asked this a lot and you think about it, but it's obviously something not to take for granted that so many people and so many specific drummers like look up to Matt Greiner and look up to August Burns Red. Like, do you ever? Does a day ever go by where that gets old? Like, I'm sure it never gets old to think about it, right, Matt?
Never gets old. I just listening to you talk about it, it's just humbling because today's Labor Day, and I have a lot of friends at home who work blue-collar jobs. They work very, very hard. Some are roofers, some are carpenters, some are farmers, and I relate to them in a huge way. I always have, even though my occupation is a lot different. What we do isn't really hard work, but it takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of saying no to things that maybe you want to do, so that you can say yes to practicing and dedicating yourself to your instrument and this job. But it's such a huge honor because I am nobody special. And I didn't come from a special place. I mean, I was born and raised on a farm. Learned how to work hard, and that translated into practicing. And so when people find something special about my drumming of the band, it's very humbling to me because I know where I came from, and I know that there shouldn't have been anything really special about what we did. It just, when it all came together, 5 people playing music together, something really special happened. So one of two things can happen when someone says, "Oh my gosh, you're my favorite drummer, or you're my favorite band, or your lyrics really affected me and changed my life." It either can make you pompous and make you kind of put your back up and your chin up and say, "Yeah, I did that," or it can make you go, "Oh my gosh, how can it be that the band we started in my parents' basement has had this kind of impact on people? It must be that it has very little to do with us." And so that's the effect it has on me personally. It's very humbling. It's very inspiring to continue doing this because, like any other job, it's a job some days, and other days it doesn't feel like a job at all. It feels like a hobby. But it's very encouraging. So we're obviously very appreciative of our fans. We wouldn't be here or anywhere close to it if we didn't have the kind of support we have.
This next question would be kind of a cool question if you go around the members of the band and ask every one of the members this question. Someone will probably have a completely different answer. But what do you think is important in terms of the popularity and success of August Burns Red? What do you think is kind of one of the significant reasons behind that? So there might be a lot of different things, the heaviness, the messaging, the instrumental aspect of it. But for you, what do you think really hit stride with the audience with August Burns Red?
Yeah, that's a good question. Petey, you have good questions.
Thanks, man.
You need to take a break today. It's Labor Day, okay?
Okay. I'm always on the grind, man. You gotta think of these questions.
So am I. I need to stop working every once in a while. I can't sit still. Yeah, you're right. If you ask anyone in the band members, it's gonna be a different thing. Absolutely. But first and foremost, really, it's about consistency. I think it's about the consistency to just stay present, stay active, continue working. If you let up and you write a bad record, just one, it can do a lot of damage to your band. The guys in this band are very dedicated. JB is very, very, very dedicated to this band. Brent's very dedicated. Jake and Dustin are very dedicated. And everyone has their own skill set. And so somehow the chemistry works in such a way that we're able to maintain that chemistry in a business sense, on a musical level, in an artistic sense, lyrically. There just isn't a lot of slack. And so I think when you play that into 15 years, when you're starting the band at age 17 and you're through your formidable years in your early 20s, it's really just about staying consistent and not veering in one direction or the other, but really taking everything in stride, realizing that things take time. So yeah, okay, maybe this song didn't go over that well live. Well, what song can we play that'll go over live?
Yeah.
Maybe this record wasn't as big as that record, but that's okay. We really liked it. And so we don't regret writing it or putting it out. Let's put out another record that's even better. And so we've just been doing that for so long that it's kind of second nature, making the right decisions as we see them, realizing that things take time. And really, at the end of the day, doing this because we love it. Yes, it's our job and pays our bills, and if it didn't, then we probably wouldn't be able to do it anymore. Yeah. But personally, I'll speak personally now. For me, I like to get down to the barricade after the show and just shake hands and talk to some people and put a face to the crowd instead of it just being a sea of faces. It's, hey, there's John and there's Mary.
You guys are very good for that. I remember like seeing Jake sometimes when I go to the merch table, like that, like and people would freak out, like, oh my god, he's actually like walking by.
Yeah, Jake, you got to get out of here, man. We can't even sell T-shirts right now because everyone's trying to grab a T-shirt too. Yeah, Jake is wonderful at that. And I think, I know, like I like NASCAR. Okay, I'm the one person in metal that likes NASCAR, but I go to a NASCAR race, and there's two guys, Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace, who like metal. They come to our shows and stuff. And when they recognize me, even though I know them and they're my friends, hey, man, how you doing? It just makes you feel like $1 million. It doesn't really matter how they race that day. It doesn't matter if they come in 23rd or 3rd. And that has taught me a lot about how we interact with our fans, because a lot of times as an artist, and you might not know this unless you're an artist, you feel intimidated to open yourself up and put yourself out there with fans when you're dwelling on your performance. You're living in your performance, but you need to get out of that and just take a step out and say, hey, these guys are here for the show. They probably didn't even notice that mistake. Even if they did, they don't care. They don't hold it against you. Yeah. What would mean more than anything than even playing a perfect show is being able to talk to you and shake your hand and have you know a little bit about it. So try to remember that, and that goes a long way with people. And at the end of the day, it's probably our band's going to be forgotten in years to come, but those relationships and those conversations won't be.
No, absolutely.
And at the end of the day, that is really what's important.
No, for sure. No, that's man. You got really deep there. I was expecting it. I mean, I was expecting it to go deep, but well done. We'll wrap up. One last quick question too before we wrap up. So what I find interesting as well is, so many people every day, want to start a band and, become successful and tour. What advice do you have for bands that want to do what August Burns Red does on a daily basis?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you could say, but just...
There's a lot. Okay. So for us, here's what we did. And times have changed, but maybe you can project this model on today. Find some guys that you get along with, that you feel like you could spend a lot of time around. Don't overthink that, but just you like them. You can stomach being around them. You like the same kind of music or similar styles. Yeah. Start playing music together. Yeah. Play a couple covers. We covered 3 songs when we played our first show. We weren't perfect. The songs weren't perfect, but man, we had fun. And that put some fire under our butts. And the next show, we wrote 5 of our own songs. Practice together whenever we could. Find guys that are dedicated. If guys are kind of, I'm not sure about this thing, say, hey, no problem, but we're looking to do something a little more serious and find somebody else, bring them in. Mm-hmm. Look at each other's skill sets. This guy's a little better at business. This guy's a little better at being a perfectionist when it comes to the music. This guy's, a songwriter. So notice I'm talking about, everything as it pertains to the band itself. This has nothing to do with fans at this point or touring or anything. You got to build something strong, foundation. Absolutely. Once you have some songs and you're starting to play shows, build connections. Try to get yourself on local shows. Get yourself in a position where you're able to play a show or so every weekend in your region. Start to build up your fan base locally. Don't put a lot of money into the band. Do not quit your day job. Don't say I want to tour across the country and we have a couple shows strung together. Do not do that. It's going to be a disaster. And
viewers, listen to this guy. Like, he does know what he's talking about.
It's probably going to cost you your band because you're going to fight with each other and not be very happy with each other if you're playing 3 shows in a month and traveling across the country. Mm-hmm. And you have to realize that things will take time. With technology the way it is nowadays, there's so much online. So the tendency is probably to just get your stuff out there. Hey, check this out. Be strategic about how you're releasing songs. So you're releasing videos. Mm-hmm. Be creative about how you're promoting your band. Just build yourself slowly in your region. Amazing. And then in your state or province. And then use those connections you have with other bands or agents to say, hey, we're looking to do this. Here's our availability. We have this many songs we can play. And play play as many shows as you can at that point.
Wow.
And I would say do it, keep your day job until your band becomes your day job. Mm-hmm. But don't quit your day job just because you have a band that's making a couple $100 here and there.
Wow.
That can be a mistake.
No, absolutely. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining me on Popternative. This is awesome. You know what I mean? Like I said, I mean, Messengers, like in my top 5 albums of all time.
Oh, wow! Thank you.
It's up there. It's up there for sure. And one of the newest, one of my favorite, like your last record you put out, one of my favorite August Burns Red songs of all time, Quake. Love that song.
Sick. I cannot play that song on drums, so please don't ask me.
Well, maybe that's why I like it.
Very, very quick double bass.
But seriously, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, you betcha.
Where can people follow you on social media? What could they expect from the band these past couple of months, and like, you know, for September as well? Like, what could people expect from the band?
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks for having me, first of all.
No problem.
Second of all, we're going to be on this Parkway Drive tour. If you want to check out tour dates, augustspinsred.com. You can, if you want to follow along with the band, it's at ABR Band. My personal Instagram is Matthew Greiner. After this tour ends, late September, I'm going to South America with Zildjian Cymbals to teach and perform and promote Zildjian. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you're in South America, I'm coming to 10 different cities, October 12th through the end of October. So you can check out my socials or Zildjian. And then this fall we're going to Europe. So check out the site for more information there.
Awesome, man. Well, seriously, thank you. All the best for the rest of the tour, man. And thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Petey. Absolutely.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for the video versions of the episodes, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts for the audio. Until next time, this is Matt Greiner and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.